just too good. The song's just too good. Good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you are. I just had to listen to it. You could listen to that song like a million times. It will never get old. And obviously, with everything that it's connected to now with Endwalker, it's even better than it was before, right? This song still slaps as well. Alright, so what's the plan for today? This is probably not going to be the longest stream, but I wanted to get some things out of the way for today. One thing is going to be I want to finish the starting quest for the Reaper that I started yesterday but wasn't able to finish before we started raiding, and we went a little overtime on raid. Unfortunately, we weren't able to clear P3S. That's still a bit annoyed at myself for dying on the 1% enrage pool. That would have been the kill, but I mean, what can you do, right? It's not always in your hands, and it wasn't entirely my fault that I died, so couldn't really do too much about that. It doesn't matter now anyway. I'm going to clear it tonight. Obviously the reclays will happen first, but hopefully that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Until then, obviously I'm going to start with all the weekly stuff. I'm going to get my Chloe book. I'm going to do the normal raids probably. Finish the Reaper quest, and also hopefully get to the final tank role quest. And then there's also the level 86 melee role quest that I can do now that my samurai's on this level. I don't know how I want to level Paladin to 90 though. I could do Fates, which I probably should, to be completely honest. Not only to get the bicolor gemstones, but also to level Ultima Thule to 60 Fates, to level 3 with the Fate thingy. Now that I think about it, probably a bit too much planned for this stream, to be completely honest, but we'll see about it. Alright, I sold one thing. My retainers sadly aren't finished with their tasks. Well, do I want to just keep that slot open for now? Let me see how many. I only have 80 of these, so obviously once reset hits, which is going to be in 12 minutes, I'm also going to do an expert roulette, and then I can just buy new stuff for the tomestones to put onto my retainer for sale. Sadly, I can't craft pots yet for myself, so I'll have to buy those for tonight. It's gonna probably be fairly expensive, although then again, I mean, I made a lot of gil since Endwalker came out, so it's not that big of a deal. I kind of would like to keep my gil, right? Build up again a little bit. Yeah, our tries yesterday cost me a lot of potions, actually. I had 54, I think. Huh. That's almost 50. That's unfortunate. Grade 6. These are still fairly expensive. Although not that expensive, all things considered. Let's get 2 stacks, I guess, for today. 56, yeah, that should be fine. Food's still fine. I mean, food is always nice. Food you can literally just buy. It's so inexpensive. You can pretty much, I don't know, do dailies for like 2 days, and that will give you more money than what your raid food costs for the entire week. If you're not raiding hardcore, that is. But then again, if you're raiding hardcore, then you've already cleared and you don't need that much raid food anymore anyway, so unless you're doing like log runs or something. Then it's a different story, but at that point, you either have more than enough gil or you're a crafter yourself. I mean, I'm crafting myself too. I was just too lazy to actually get the new crafted gear melded and stuff like that. I'm going to get to that. Hopefully, maybe not this week specifically. I want to do the role quests and that kind of stuff first, right? Before I get back into crafting. I mean, I have everything prepared. It's just the over-melding part is a little bit annoying, so yeah, that's where that currently is still problematic. Let me take a look here. I think my garden storage is actually getting fairly... let's see. Yeah, there's one more slot for garden things. Oh wait, what? So, place. Which is unfortunate. Why do I have two of these? Wait, what? I should probably sell this then, huh? I guess I forgot that I had one, and yeah, I mean, if I can still sell this, I'm just gonna sell it. I don't know how much they're worth, probably not a lot, but I want to redecorate my house at some point as well. But that'll have to wait. Okay. Well then, I think let's get back to the Reaper quest, shall we? Still kind of struggling to comprehend how Reaper actually works, especially because I wasn't really able to find any what are they called? Am I dumb? These things. Striking dummies. Huh. I wasn't able to find striking dummies. Or rather, well, I didn't actually look for them. The striking dummy in my garden is too high level to train Reaper. It's unfortunate. You know what? I should probably just keep the level 81 at this point. And if new jobs get released in 7.0, at least I can train them in front of my house. Okay. Are there training dummies here? I don't think there are, right? Or maybe... Well, they... Let me see. Uldar is here. There might be ones in front of Uldar. Let's actually take a look. Although here... I think they're in the other zone, right? Fortunately. Thought there might be a couple ones here. But... maybe not. I mean, I don't care. I'm gonna find out how it works anyway. It seems fairly straightforward. It's just that the skill descriptions, especially if you haven't unlocked the gauges, then it just seems a bit strange. There's a couple of things you don't really understand, because apparently Reaper has a couple of gauges and stacks and things that you need to keep track of, but if you haven't leveled, unfortunately the job guide just doesn't tell you about those. Oh, and once again they're actually using a dungeon, apparently. That's cool. Say hello to Arnegus. It's not his real name, of course. He's a Garlean as we come, but I'd say he makes a passable Highlander in the correct light. Boss, who's this? Are you sure we should be getting an outsider involved? Thank you for your discretion, Arnegus, but it ain't needed. He has a personal contract with me, so consider him a mercenary in service to the family. Whatever you'd say in front of me, you can say in front of him. By your will, boss. A chimera has been making this sands a living hell for anyone who dares to wander into its territory. Which be us, since our trade route cuts right through it. The men I've hired to carry my goods are scared to death. I can't blame them. None of us are fit for monster hunting, so I sent for you. We'll see what we can do, Ornegas. Might want to find a rock to hide behind, though. Chimeras ain't known for being the most discriminating of beasts. Yeah, they're definitely not. Especially if you don't want to get paralyzed. Time to put your new skills to good use. I do really like how they've introduced these tutorials. Although, I wish they would have been a bit longer even. The Sage tutorial felt just a bit too short, in my opinion. I mean, I guess it was definitely telling you about the basic concepts of the job, but without actually reading through the skills and, you know, spending a good half an hour or more to just figure out, alright, how's this supposed to work? I don't know if I would have really understood it. Beyond the basics, that is. And with Reaper, well, Reaper seems a lot more straightforward, at least at level 70. There's just a lot that you unlock later on, which is a bit of a problem. I said that yesterday as well when I unlocked it. In a couple of ways, it reminds me of Dark Knight, where it just has a lot of AoE variants of the same thing. And I don't particularly like that. I think it's much better to have either unique AoE abilities, or the even better way is to just have your single target rotation be your AoE rotation as well, for the most part, right? Where your single target skills just have an AoE attached to them. The Red Mage Finisher would be a good example of that, where you just use it in your normal single target rotation, but it's also now used in the AoE rotation. And that just feels really, really good. And it doesn't feel like they're wasted skills. Whereas especially on Dark Knight, I always feel like, I mean, obviously, you know, in a dungeon scenario, you're going to use those skills, but for most raid bosses or something, there's just literally, I don't know, how many are there? Must be at least 5 skills or something? I mean, that holds true for most other tanks as well. It's just that, I don't know, on Dark Knight specifically, just the fact that they're literally the exact same skills. Single target and AoE, but they're 2 different skills. I don't know, I'm just not a big fan of that. And while I do like Reaper for a lot of reasons, I think it's probably really, really fun at level 90. With the different stacks and resources that you have and stuff like that. I'm not entirely sure why they opted to have AoE variants of the same skills. I don't know. I wish they would have done that differently. Because with the way they've now done AoE skills, it's even more confusing to me why they're not opting to make more interesting rotations that just include your AoE, rather than having separate AoE skills that don't get used in a raid scenario, right? So there's a couple of ways to deal with that. I thought that the basic idea of how Dancer dealt with it, where you have AoE skills that at some point are also part of your single target rotation, because you get the procs, or you have a button that gives you the AoE procs as well. And for that, you just have to be close to the boss, even though you're ranged. I thought that was a really, really neat and interesting idea. And, well, there's obviously a couple of other ways to go about it as well. Like I said, with the Red Mage Finisher also being AoE. And also with the way they're, are balancing AoE skills as well. Where it's really, really easy to balance your single target rotation around AoE as well. They can just do the damage fall-off that they're doing, right? And if they feel like a job is just doing too much AoE damage, they can just say, alright, instead of having a 60% fall-off damage, it can be 70%, or they can reduce it and it can be 50%, right? And they can even do that for different skills. So I don't know why we sometimes have these equivalent AoE skills or too many AoE skills that just don't get used in any kind of single target scenario. That's kind of a waste, right? In a couple of ways, it's okay. I think, let me think. Well, I mean, Samurai still has a lot of AoE skills as well, but the Samurai AoE rotation, for example, is really interesting. There is an actual AoE rotation, and overall, it's quite a lot of. How many are there? I think it's 4 specific AoE skills that Samurai has, right? But the only really equivalent one is I forget the skill name, but the one that now costs 25 Kenki gauge that you can do every 2 minutes, right? Only that has an actual AoE equivalent and a single target equivalent. For the other one, they've opted to do it with the stickers, right? So you have 1 sticker for your dodge, 3 stickers for Midare, but you also have 2 stickers for your AoE. And that's a really, really neat way of doing that, right? Where it's the same mechanic, the same thing, but it just works a little bit differently in an AoE scenario. I think that's really, really clever. I mean, obviously, let's see how Reaper plays, let's see how it works, and I'm sure it's going to be a ton of fun. It looks really, really cool, and the skills itself are really cool as well. I just wish they wouldn't do that. Okay, let's do this. It's also... We're actually in Kata's Cry, that's so weird. Okay. Let's get on with the hunt, eh? We'll need to draw out the Chimera with Myrmidon meat. Now to accustom yourself to the Reaper's tools. House the souls of the fallen to call forth your avatar. Reapers can summon their avatar by filling their soul gauge. Soul gauge will fill when performing combos, starting with Slice, or when using skills such as Soul Slice. The best Reapers fight in tandem with their avatars. Let's see how you do. Alright, I need to remember how I place these skills. Oh, music's cool. The Shadow of Death is the one that gives... You pretty much want to start with this, right? And then I can give myself Soul Gauge in order to be able to use Bloodstalk. And then there's the other 2 skills that I don't really know how I'm actually getting them. It's interesting that this is on... Oh, alright. So... If I use the soul thing, I definitely also want to use the other skills as well, immediately, pretty much. Oh, I should probably read what she's saying. You've taken to kill him more quickly than I could have hoped. It'll be an easy thing to summon your avatar to your side. Let's move on to the fun bit, eh? The avatar will help you strike fear into the hearts of your foes. Gibbet will hurt him from the flank, and Gallows will surprise him from behind. If you're getting swarmed, use Guillotine to carve yourself some space. A Chimera won't be able to resist the smell of blood. Make sure to soak these sands in it. Alright, so now I'm supposed to use... Oh, wait, what? Does this break my combo? No, it doesn't. Okay. Oh, so you have to... That's interesting. You always have to use your soul stuff first, right? So that is something that's a little bit confusing. Enhance next, give it will deal increased damage. So you pretty much want to swap between the two? Do I get that right? And you have like a minute to do so. And the only way to actually use them is to use this one? Why is it now called a different thing though? Okay, okay. So I think I kind of get how this is supposed to work, right? And I was a little... I don't know why I was really... It's not that so much that I was confused with the tooltips, it's just... There's quite a bit going on with the enhanced stuff. The fact that you can only use them while doing this. But then this action switches as well. And I think the only reason for that is... So... you pretty much want to do these, like, alternating, right? So you're starting off by increasing your soul gauge to 50. You have this ability to do so, right? It'll increase your soul gauge by 50 right away, or you can increase your soul gauge by just attacking normally. As soon as you have 50 soul gauge, you can use Bloodstock and then execute either Gibbet or Gallows, which are pretty much the exact same skill, except that one's from the flank and one's from the rear. As soon as you do that, this ability gets enhanced, and the other one that you didn't use before gets enhanced as well, right? Meaning that you can then increase your soul gauge to 50 once again, use this once again, and then use the other skill. And you pretty much do that every time you reach 50 soul gauge, right? You just alternate between them, and Bloodstock is really just the first time you're using these. Now, the only thing that I was confused about yesterday, I think, is because this thing is called Soul Reaver, right? The thing that Bloodstock gives you is called Soul Reaver, but this thing actually gives you 2 stacks of Soul Reaver, meaning that you can probably do both back to back, but that's not entirely clear because it doesn't really tell you how these stacks work in a lot of ways. Alright, let's try out the AoE. So, the cool thing about the AoE is that you can actually get your damage debuff onto all of them. Alright. That's what I like to see. Gallows will hurt them from behind. Switch off between that and Gibbet to make your attacks even more deadly. You're using Guillotine like a true killer. Reap a feast of souls in one fell swoop. The bloodshed should have gotten the Chimera's attention. Steel yourself for a fight. Our target arrives. Finish this, and I'll let you keep its head as a trophy. So long as your avatar is by your side, monsters like this are nothing more than easy prey. Show me you've been listening. Give your avatar a feast to remember. Remember to position yourself. Gibbet from the side, Gallows from the rear. Simple enough, eh? Wait, how am I supposed to position myself, though? So I'm actually tanking the thing. That's from the flank, and then you can do this and this from the rear, yeah. Oh, it's literally, I guess it's just staying this way? Yeah, I really like that, I think. This doesn't break your combo either, right? Okay. I think they're both not really breaking the combo, right? No, they're not. So you can use them at any time. Alright, so far so good. It's interesting, it actually does remind me just a little bit of Sage, doesn't it? Because you also have an ability that then allows you to use the other ability as well. You can always use this one. Well, that wasn't exactly from the flank. Yeah, it's a little bit hard to position. But that's the basic idea, right? So the cool thing about Reaper is that you can sort of decide when to actually use your positionals, which is really, really cool. I mean, obviously you don't have you have only a fairly small window, because if you, like, one of your basic combos is giving you 30 soul gauge, and then your cooldown also gives you 50, so by that point you have to have executed your positional. But it's still really cool. You pretty much have, 3, 4, maybe even 5 GCDs to decide when to actually use the positional. That's really, really cool. I do think that Reaper on level 70 is a bit underwhelming, I would say. I guess they probably specifically did that so that it's not too overwhelming if you're getting into it on level 70. But compared to other jobs, I feel like you don't actually have that many tools available. I mean, you do have your backwards jump, forwards jump, getting back to your portal. You have a shield. But other than that, it feels very basic on level 70. But alright, I guess. I mean, it's always kind of a weird thing. And then, I think I said that yesterday, it gets its AoE, I think, at level 25. Which is like not 40, but 20 levels below Dragoon, I think, still? Very weird. Yeah, whatever. Bloody impressive work, that. I knew there was something about you, but truth be told, I didn't expect you to make such clean work of that Chimera. I reckon even I might be hard-pressed to match that display. Really? You know Talon when you see it, boss. And with that, the ceruleum will flow once more. Among his many roles, Hernagus is a merchant of sorts. He sells ceruleum at a price that'd make those gill pinches at Amalgina and Sons balk, but still turns a pretty profit. We can barely keep up with demand, despite the occasional feast or two button into our effects. All thanks to you, boss, and our countrymen up north, of course. Here's to getting back to business as usual. Huh. So they're using connections that they still have to Garleans to get their hands on ceruleum. It's interesting. Ceruleum ain't easy to come by, as you well know. Amalgina and Sons protects their monopoly with a gilded fist. They've yet to force the Imperial stragglers up north out of the market. Now, before you go running off to the flames, let me assure you that this arrangement is entirely above board. Selling goods to Imperials is forbidden by law, but there's nary a word writ about buying from them. I know you Eorzeans like to call Garleans by all sorts of colorful names. Bastards, tyrants, invaders. And hey, you've got all of those and worse. But while many a foul deed has been committed for the glory of the Empire, we ain't megalomaniacs to a man. Even amongst the purebloods, those that serve don't always do so by choice. Could be argued we're all casualties of the great Machinus ambition. No small number of the Empire's troops would return home in a heartbeat if they could. With the world being what it is, most settle for sending their family with few coins they can afford to part with. Most Eorzeans wouldn't suffer a whit of color to complicate their black and white view. But if you're going to fight with us, you should learn the truth of our past. Oh? Long ago, long before the Empire, our forebears lived in Locus Amonis, down in southern Ilsabad. With temperate climes and fertile earth, the land provided. Many of us were but simple farmers harvesting abundant crops with the self-same scythes the reapers would eventually wield. So they are botanists! They're literally botanists in law! Well, not really, but that's a quite funny jab at that. But gifts are ever the object of envy. When not tilling the fields, our ancestors were forced to defend them. Every year they yielded a few more ilms, and some 800 years ago now, they were driven from Locus Amonis completely. It's kind of crazy that that was 800 years ago. Then again, considering that Charlian was established at the beginning of the 6th Astral Era, so about 1600 years ago, and, you know, the Allagans are even a way, way longer time before that, and there's also all kinds of things that happened, you know, before the 6th Astral Era. It's really interesting that the Garleans are kind of a fairly recent addition, especially considering that their sort of rise to power. I never really considered that before, right? I mean, we kind of knew about it, but only when we actually got to know him itself, or when he was introduced, I guess, as Emperor Solus or Scalus, right? Solus, I think. At that point, it became fairly clear how recent the Garleans' history actually is, right? I mean, obviously they have a lot more history, which is now getting explained here, but their rise to power, their history while they were an actual powerful nation, is very, very recent. Which is very interesting as well. They fled north to the frozen region that would become Garlemald. Even there, they fought tooth and nail for the scant resources of that frigid land. From the fires of hardship were the first Magitech devices forged, and with innovation upon innovation, that humble group of farmers grew into an insatiable empire. But before that miraculous twist of fate, we were a dying breed, bereft not only of magic but of hope itself. With no natural advantages to speak of, our mere survival was in question. From harsh necessity were the reapers born. We turned our tools to weapons and struck a bargain with the whispers in the dark. With the void's power we could strike at an army's beaten heart, slay their generals and throw the rank and file into disarray. Our way is to end battles before the sparks catch, to sacrifice the one for the many, to keep avaricious hands away from family, friends, and lovers. And now this power belongs to you. Remember our story. Remember what drives a man to turn to the void, and do not be led unto deeper temptations. Our work here is done. I'll see you back at headquarters. So, I guess this is the second job that is actually based on a Garlean idea, I guess. Right? Because it's Gunbreaker as well is based on Garleans. But yeah, this is just to highlight what I was talking about, right? So all of these skills here to the left, these are all AoE, right? This is your AoE combo, and this one is your AoE, well, I guess you can call it sort of a finisher, right? The equivalent of these two as an AoE. And then you have Whirl of Death as well, which is pretty much this skill, just AoE. And that's, you know, where I would think, I mean, it's fine to have these. It's definitely fine to have this one, because this one needs to be completely different from these, right? And I guess because this changes depending on which one of these you execute, you kind of need an AoE variant of that as well. But I think Shadow of Death could have easily just been an AoE ability that you also use in single target scenarios, right? So that this one wasn't necessary, and the same goes for Soul Slice. Increasing your soul gauge by 50, this could have also just been AoE, and then this one would be pointless, right? So I guess, you know, especially this one and this one wasn't really needed. And they could have done something else with those as well. And also considering, I mean, this is quote-unquote just a buff, this is a barrier, and these are movement skills and your ranged attack. So the only other things that really happen are these two, this one, which is sort of apparently for outside of combat, which I need to figure out as well, and then these two as well. I think it's just still very interesting because you have a couple of actions, right? There's a couple of things that happen depending on what else you do. So a lot of skills that you can't be bound to a hotbar that appear throughout your rotation based on the certain things you do and the resources that you have. And there's, I think, 3 different resources that you have as a Reaper. So I'm not saying that it's not interesting or not well designed. It is, but I do feel like they've, you know, I when I first saw it, I thought that it would have been a bit more complex than what it actually is. But then again, maybe I need to level it more to actually understand that complexity. It feels very, very, very basic and straightforward on level 70. Which is kind of a weird theme, considering the Summoner rework, for example. Summoner, you know, is now definitely too easy on level 90, but you pretty much have everything that you have on 90, except for very few skills. Like, there's a couple of things where things turn into different skills that you get on level, I think, 84 or 86 or something like that. I think it was 86. Or is it 84? Whatever. But Summoner, for example, has a lot of its toolkit already back on level, I guess, 30 even? And it doesn't even really change from that. It just gets upgraded, right? And then there's a couple of other jobs like Reaper that on level 70 still only have a very basic rotation and only get the really interesting stuff later on. So, I wish you know, if you're playing this game, or if you have been playing this game for a longer time and you're unlocking these things like I'm doing right now, right? Where you played the game for a very long time and now you get introduced to Reaper, you've already leveled everything else, then it doesn't really matter. But from a new player's perspective, or not even a new player, but rather a player, so for example, I myself, when I started the game back at the end of Heavensward, right, I obviously focused on the story first, but I also did a ton of side stuff, like all the side quests while I was getting to them, right? I always did all of the side quests when I arrived in a zone and there were side quests, I did them. I obviously did all of the blue quests, and that's quite a lot, right? And I noticed that when I leveled another character to 50, there's just a million different things that unlock as soon as you get to 50. And especially with the other stuff as well, whether it be gold saucer or housing, right? There's just a ton of side stuff that you could do as well. So pretty much, even though I started pretty much half a year before Stormblood released, when Stormblood actually released, I hadn't actually really leveled anything, right? The only things that I had really leveled were obviously my Summoner, Scholar through that, even though I had never used it at that point. I think I hadn't even unlocked Scholar. Or rather, well, I hadn't really started the Scholar job quest at all. And the only things I had leveled at that point, I think, were like Bard. I think I said that at some point. I had Bard, or rather I had Archer at like level 10 or 15. I think I had Thaumaturge, so Black Mage at level 15 as well, because you needed that in order to unlock Summoner. And I think I had White Mage unlocked at level 30. That was the only things that I had, right? So throughout the course of Stormblood, I, obviously started doing all of this other stuff and leveling all of the stuff that I hadn't leveled before. And I guess what I'm just trying to say with that is, that's over the course of 2.5 years, basically, right? Before Shadowbringers came out. And even when Shadowbringers came out, I still hadn't leveled everything. That was then, I did that shortly after Shadowbringers release, that I actually brought everything to max level. And what that means is that there's probably a ton of players who haven't really touched a couple of jobs, right? I mean, maybe for some reason they have 3 or 4 jobs that they haven't unlocked yet. Everything else they've leveled because they were interested in them, and then they decide, oh, well, now I'm gonna level, I don't know, Dragoon, right? And they, for whatever reason, maybe they didn't have time to do that particular quest before. But the problem is when you then get introduced to Dragoon, right? So you have all of the other stuff at 80 or 90 or whatever, and then you say, all right, I wasn't able to get around to doing Dragoon, and now they're doing that. But suddenly you have this really, really scuffed way of unlocking skills, right? And I remember even back in Stormblood that was an issue where, you would start those those jobs, and for a very, very long time, I mean, you have to remember, right, leveling a DPS from level 1 to 45, that's not something that you can do in an hour. That takes like half a day or even longer. I mean, it was made easier through things like squadrons, for example. There are a couple of ways to actually level fairly quickly, but it still does take time, and you still need to go through those lower level dungeons, right? And it's just really, really scuffed in terms of when you unlock certain skills. Certain jobs are just way, way easier, or rather, I wouldn't even say easier, but just more comfortable to level, right? More comfortable, more fun as well. At the end of the day, it's how the gameplay feels, right? How fun it is to actually go through that leveling process. And with a couple of jobs, it's really, really fun. And with a couple of jobs, it's really, really not, right? Especially the part below level 50. But then even above that, there's a couple of issues. For example, when I was leveling Black Mage, and I touched upon that a couple of times while I was, doing dailies on my Black Mage, that, for example, I think level 60 Black Mage is really, really scuffed. Because you already have a couple of things that only really get important later on and don't really fit into your rotation at all at that level. And it's sort of unclear, for example, if you... On Black Mage, it's really weird because I'm really used to, well, the end game level rotation, obviously, where you always finish either your AoE or your single target by using Flare or Despair, right? And logically, that makes a lot of sense because you're spending as much mana as you can on Fire 1, Fire 4, depending on your level, or High Fire 2, Fire 2 for AoE. And once you've spent as much mana as you can during your Astral Fire phase as possible, you finish off with a skill that then completely depletes the rest of your mana, which is what Flare and Despair are. Now, weirdly enough, you unlock Flare, I think even back on level 50, or something like that. But Despair, you only unlock on 72, which means that it's not even available for normal raids, trials, or the level 70, 50, 60 roulette if you get into content that is below level 72, right? So if it would be on level 70 that you unlock Despair, that would make a whole lot more sense, but it's level 72, right? Meaning that for most roulettes, when you're leveling Black Mage, you're not able to actually use the tools that logically makes sense to be used. But the problem there then is you have Flare, but you don't have Despair. And then suddenly you're in this weird position where you're saying to yourself, well, am I supposed to use this? And obviously, I'm not like, why would I look up on the balance or somewhere else what the optimal rotation on Black Mage for like level 60 roulettes is? That's dumb. I mean, obviously I would do that if I would do ultimates on Black Mage, right? If I would do the level 70 ultimates on Black Mage, I would probably look up what the optimal level 70 rotation is for Black Mage. Although then again, I would still probably just do Summon or Red Mage or whatever. Although then again, it might be fun doing those on Black Mage. I don't know. But that's just weird, right? That's just weird that you're suddenly thrown into this. I mean, well, it might be different if you just started leveling Black Mage, if you don't know how it actually plays on a higher level, if you haven't even unlocked Despair, then maybe it might be more logical to you, but even then it's weird, because Flare is a very long cast that has a lower potency than Fire 4, which you have already unlocked on level 60, right? So it feels like, oh yeah, I'm doing this finisher skill now that has a lower potency than my other skills and a longer cast time. And you're sitting there thinking, well, wouldn't it be easier to, especially now where they, like, you can easily swap to Umbral Ice. And if you get a fast MP tick, you can pretty much immediately go back to casting Fire 4s, right? I mean, not immediately, it costs you 2 GCDs, but then again, Flare is a very long cast, right? I don't know. The point here is, right, you're sitting there asking yourself, well, does this make sense? Am I doing the right thing here? Because it feels really, really weird, right? It's about how it feels, not necessarily about what's optimal. And that's unfortunate that that's the case, right? Either they should have introduced like a lower level Despair, maybe, or they should have made it clearer that Flare is supposed to be a finisher at that point. Either way, it's not a great way to do that. And I wish, you know, they have so many tools to make lower level jobs more interesting. They can just introduce traits. It would have probably been a good idea in general to introduce traits that allow them to specifically balance, especially now with older ultimates getting older and older, right? It probably would have been a good idea to introduce traits for every expansion, pretty much, that allow them to balance jobs individually for every level range. I don't know why they don't really do that. Because, I mean, well, they do that. They did that for Endwalker, where they have specific traits pretty much on every job that increases your potencies between level 80 and 90, so that they are balanced at endgame now on level 90, but they also hopefully are balanced on level 80. I don't really know how the level 80 balance is. Now with as soon as Savage is done for most statics, I'd imagine that a lot are going back to T and doing that. It's going to be interesting to see how statics deal with T and what the best jobs are for that. Because obviously throughout most of Shadowbringers, for example, Gunbreaker was insane in level 70 ultimates, right? It was completely unbalanced. And it's going to be interesting to see how that is for T. Again, point here being is just, I wish they would spend more time focusing on both the leveling experience of jobs and the job balance below max level. Mainly for ultimates, for balancing old ultimates. And they don't need to be perfectly balanced. All I'm saying is that if, Gunbreaker is extremely outperforming the other tanks, maybe they should think about specifically increasing certain potencies here and there on the other tanks to at least bring them up to equal level or something, right? I don't know. And then, again, if, for example, Reaper is unlocking the AoE on level 25, it would probably make sense to move AoE skills of all the other melees to be level 25 as well. At least the basic one, right? And I guess the weirdest part about that is that they sometimes do that, right? So I think it was actually at the start of Shadowbringers where they brought all the healer AoE skills down to level 45. I think they were 50 previously. And they consolidated them. So not all of the healers got their skills at the same time, right? But when Shadowbringers released, they brought all the healer AoEs to level 45, right? All of the 3 healers back then got their their AoE on level 45, which is a little bit too late in my opinion, but you know, that's a different story. But at least they made them similar in that regard. And then the question sort of remains, well, if they do that for healers, then why not do it for the other jobs as well, right? Kind of unfortunate, and I wish they would have, I don't know, done that differently. Yeah. It's not a big deal, but that's from a, like, player who's been playing this game for thousands of hours, right? From my perspective. I wonder how it is, because I do remember Stormblood, right? I do remember when I started leveling all these jobs, and a couple of them just didn't really feel great in the beginning, right? And the reason why you were doing it is because you knew, oh yeah, they're gonna get really interesting, and I'm going to be really interested in them. And then obviously a lot of job quests are also just really, really interesting and good, right? But I really, really wish that they would just, I mean, again, the frustrating part is sometimes they do that, or sometimes they do pay attention to the lower levels, and sometimes they don't. And it's seemingly random whether or not they do, right? I guess it depends on how much time they have, or I don't know if there are other factors going into it as well. But it's just those little things, right? Because the game is so good otherwise, that every time you see these little things where you just question why, right? You just, I don't know, you're taken aback for a second and ask yourself, well, why? This would have been an easy change, right? Just move a trait to another level, move a skill to another level. That can't be that bad, right? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, maybe, you know, sometimes you don't realize how much time or work is involved with those kinds of things. Obviously, every time they change something like that, there is a bunch of stuff that comes with that, right? Not only does it need to be tested, it needs to be, you know, bug-free. They need to then, well, the most complicated part probably being that they also need to change up the way the job quests work, because they sometimes require certain skills to be on a certain level because the job quests introduce those skills, right? So there's a bunch of sort of legacy stuff that is lingering around that probably makes a decision like that, or moving a skill to another level, sometimes a bit complicated, because they then need to think about, well, does this actually interact with any kind of job quest? And if it does, do we move another skill to another quest? Do we change the quest? Do we change the quest text? Right? There's probably a lot of things that go into that as well, and it's just kind of unfortunate that... well, I don't know, that's another topic. I've already been talking too long, you know, about this topic anyway, but that's just one small other thing that is a bit unfortunate, because I felt like when I was going through Summoner, especially for the first time, right, when I was leveling Summoner throughout Heavensward, and also then back in Stormblood even, when I was leveling other jobs, I felt like it was really, really cool that the job quests would specifically introduce certain skills with that particular job quest that then also got used in that particular quest, right? It felt a lot more natural. It felt like the job quest wasn't just a story that was tied to the job. It was actually teaching you how the job worked, right? And in terms of a tutorial for that job, sometimes it didn't really do that, right? It didn't really taught you about, it didn't really tell you or teach you about these abilities. But sometimes it taught you about, you know, the background, the lore of those abilities, why that ability exists, right? But So in terms of telling a story or telling a coherent narrative through the job quests, it's really, really cool if they're doing that. But obviously that sort of locks you in, right? What are you doing if you redesign a job down the line and that particular ability just doesn't really make any sense in the new rotation? What do you do then, right? And they sort of have written themselves into a corner with that, where they kind of need to stick with the job quests. I don't think they ever really rewrote any of those quests. So all of those quests are still pretty much the same that they always were, but they obviously changed rotations and skills and stuff like that down the line a lot. So they need to come up with a lot of ways to, I guess, reconcile that, right? So some jobs still get those abilities, but then they're upgraded to different abilities and they change over time, which can be a bit weird if you're leveling them, right? But they need to make sense within the job quest and that kind of stuff. And that's why they opted to then later on, for example, throughout Stormblood, the job quests don't introduce any abilities anymore, and they're not tied to those abilities either. They just tell a story, right? And now obviously they've completely done away with those and just have the role quests, which is also really cool. But again, it was also, I really, really liked that the job quests were specifically tied to your abilities, right? Because that enhances your abilities as well. It's really, really cool if you learn about, well, why does this ability exist? Who came up with it, right? What kind of purpose did it serve back when the job was originally created by whoever created it in lore, in universe, right? And yeah, I really liked that storytelling. I really liked getting to know my skills with their history tied to them, right? But obviously, thinking about the future of an MMO like this, you can't really do that, right? You can't really write quests like that, because if later down the line you change the job, you know, unfortunately, you'd either have to remove those quests or completely change them or whatever, right? They wouldn't work anymore. So, but I guess that's also why a couple of leveling curves for a couple of jobs are a bit scuffed, because they still need to adhere to the quests that they wrote back in The Realm Reborn and Heavensward, while also having new rotations and new stuff that got introduced over time. Yeah. It's just a bit unfortunate in certain cases. For your first outing, you did good. I think you've earned the right to know just who the slot you've thrown yourself in with is. You might have gathered this yourself, but the Lemurs were formed to support those guardians who are living in exile. Tain't easy to be far from home, let alone in a place where most would sooner gut you than offer a helping hand. Off the only place to make a living is in the shadowy corners that lay outside the watchful gaze of the law. Now, I don't expect you to embrace us like brothers and sisters straight away, but know this, I do expect you to apply yourself to this job. In the meantime, I'll be working with the family to ascertain the whereabouts of our prey. Expect that scythe to be like an extension of your own body when next we speak. Cool. Alright, so that's the new jobs unlocked properly. Let's get into Expert Roulette. So reset already happened, right? Yes. Oh wait, what? What? You can't apply glamour plates in this place? That seems like an oversight. Weird. Especially weird because you unlock a job that you might want to have a glamour for. Whatever. What? Expert Roulette has DPS. DPS in need? Well, that's a rare sight. I definitely need to start doing B ranks. What am I saying this morning? What the hell? I need to return to doing B ranks, is what I was trying to say. They I need Aetheryte tickets. I'm running out of them. It's 148. Well, I mean, that's still more than enough. The thing that cost me the most Aetheryte tickets at this point was leveling my gatherers and gathering or preparing raid materials, right? Materials for the raid gear, crafted gear and stuff. That actually took quite a few Aetheryte tickets, because I was constantly teleporting between the new zones, and that costs a lot of gil, so that it would always consume an Aetheryte ticket, right? They're still fairly cheap to get. You can still, again, if you're doing, you just need to remember, B ranks are sometimes a bit annoying, because either you look up where they spawn, or you just fly through the zone aimlessly, but you know, if you do it like that, it can take up to 15 minutes to actually find them, because obviously I don't remember all the spawn locations of B ranks. And the thing is, from Heavensward onward, there are 2 B ranks per zone, right? And their spawn locations are in such a way that one B rank can only spawn in about half the zone, and the other B rank spawns in the other half of the zone, right? And if you don't know the B rank, or if you don't remember their spawn locations, then you might be flying through the half of the zone that they can't even spawn in, right? But it's really annoying to always look up their spawn locations while you're doing that, so that's just a bit unfortunate. Alright, so I guess I'll be doing... Let's do the reset stuff first, I guess, right? Let's do the export roulette and the normal rates. I think I want to do those first. And then I'll be getting back to Rolequests. I think that's probably the best way to do this. I mean, while I'm waiting, I could and should probably do the B ranks, actually. Oh yeah, I can also do collectible turn-ins to get the remaining... the remaining master recipe books that I'm missing. Which ones am I missing? I have the goldsmith one. I don't have these 3, I think, right? Yeah. Let's take a look at those. I also need to continue Charlemont's questline. Alright, L2 has a bonus. And Nago has a bonus. On all 3, actually. I wish they would always do it like this, where all 3 have the bonus. Because sometimes, I don't know, I don't think that this is... I think you should always get 2 bonuses per week for either one of those. It's just weird otherwise. Yeah. So, I'll definitely have to do those on my crafters. Getting around to actually getting better crafted gear as well. So that I can maybe actually craft my own pots. Because that's going to be really expensive otherwise. Alright, yeah, let's actually get around to doing the B-rings. Let's start with, I think this is the normal one, Lower Lenosha. I mean, this also obviously costs Aetheryte tickets to teleport there, but yeah, you get a lot more Aetheryte tickets back. And also, and I think I've said this before as well, you do these every 2 weeks, actually. At least that's how I like to do them, right? Because now, obviously, this is It will probably take some time to find it. Because, you know, I now have the Realm Reborn B rank, and as soon as I've done this one, I can just take on the new one from this week, from Gridania. And so you can do 2 B ranks per expansion per week, like this. But then obviously next week I'm just going to take on the B ranks but not actually do them, right? Although that way you also have to remember those, so in a way it probably makes more sense to just do them every week. So that it's more of a ritual, I guess. This is it, right? Wait, let me actually... I should probably be able to... just kill it really, really quickly. Yeah. Okay. Just so that I don't have to look for it again. Because sometimes, I mean, most of the time, people aren't really killing them, right? So you can just enter the roulette, and then when you come back, it'll still be there. But sometimes people obviously do kill them, and then you have to research for them. You have to search for them again. Which is a bit unfortunate. I really... Did I say that before? I really like the new expert dungeons. They're really fun. I think this time around they've done a really good job of not only making these dungeons good going through them the first time, but also making them great expert roulette dungeons, which wasn't always the case, right? In Shadowbringers, for example, I wasn't the biggest fan of doing Amarot. Like, Amarot was really good, obviously. When you were doing it the first time. But then it did get a little bit annoying, you know, all the other times that you were doing it. What did I do wrong now? Why didn't I get my 3rd flare? Why is the tank dead? What? What the? What? Oh. Wait. This wasn't even a very large pull. I mean, just heal him. Don't you have like 1,000,000 heal skills? I mean, paladins aren't that hard to heal. You're a freaking white mage. Don't you have like 1,000,000? Well, then again, I mean, I shouldn't probably... I have absolutely no idea how they work now. Yeah, I don't know, you really have to pay attention when you're actually flaring in order to not miss the second one. That's really annoying. Seriously. I hate mobs that are doing these ridiculously large AoEs during pulls. It's just unnecessarily annoying. Oh yeah, I should have probably started doing my... So actually there's apparently a more optimal way to play Black Mage if you happen to have the... if you happen to have a... what's it called? A Firestarter proc, then it's actually better to use Transpose and then use your Firestarter already being in Astral Fire, right? Am I able to make this? Ooh, that was really cool. What's going on with this healer? What the fuck? What the hell is he doing? Paladin, heal us! Heal yourself! You have like a million... Oh, I didn't pay... Whoopsie! I was gonna say, he had like full MP. But I didn't pay attention to the HP of the boss, so yeah, whatever. I don't know what that white mage is doing. Maybe they're doing this dungeon only for the second time. Yeah, alright, they're saying second time here. That's fine. That's always, you know, when these expert roulettes are fairly new, you know, sometimes it's just... I think instead of counting my high fires, I should probably just pay attention to the MP. I should have used Paradox, or whatever. And now it was a waste. Whatever. Once again asking myself why the tank is running towards the treasure coffer, but not opening it. Even though that's the one with materia, which is still at fairly high prices on the market board, even if you don't need it or use it or whatever. Just need to pay attention to. Sometimes you have so many instant casts and so many things to cast in general that you're kind of forgetting to cast the things that are important in order to keep your Astral Fire up. I think I definitely want to do the weekly normal modes on Black Mage this time. Black Mage is just really, really fun now. I mean, it was always really fun, but you just have so many things to do now. Oh shit! Oopsie. I kind of didn't pay attention anymore because the boss was already half dead. The one thing that I'm a little bit, well, not really, I don't know. I think it's still weird that you just get this one skill that gives you a polyglot stack. I think that one's kind of unnecessary, to be honest. I don't know. Just a bit overkill, it feels like. Oh shit, that was the wrong one! Probably actually better to triple cast the flares, right? Than it is the other stuff. Why? Oh. I'm an idiot. I didn't actually... For a second there I was confused, but I didn't actually, Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. My brain sort of shut off for a second there. I think I can't say that, unfortunately. What? I don't know what happened there. Sorry. It, Alright, this should be enough, right? Yeah. Bam. Alright. This is always the easy pattern if it does it like this. Oh shit! Yeah, that's not what I wanted to do at all. The fuck did I do there? Can you please heal me? Holy shit. That was a weird pattern there. It was fine. What the hell did I do there? So you should have stood to the front and then moved to the left, right? That was definitely the worst pattern that he can get. But for some reason, yeah. It was probably because I was still thinking about what I wanted to say previously, or something like that. That was a bit unfortunate, but whatever. It's fine. Can extract some materia here. It's nice. I actually got some materia as well. Tenacity. Yay! The problem is nobody's buying those anyway. Although then again, I think these were worth quite a lot when Savage released, simply because a lot of people were probably progging on Warrior, or well, not necessarily a lot of people, but the people that were progging on Warrior needed these, right, in order to pentamelt them, their gear. So yeah, that's why they were fairly expensive, at least a lot more expensive than I expected them to be. And actually a lot more expensive than the other 9 materia as well. But maybe that's also because probably a lot of people didn't actually put up the tenacity materia on the market board, so it might have just been limited supply as well that drove the prices higher. Because obviously with the crit materia, most people know that that's going to be needed, right? So maybe the amount of stuff that was on the market board of crit materia was just higher than the other stuff, I guess. Alright, I'm taking a very short break because I need to actually talk about something with someone. And when I return, I'm going to do the other B ranks and I'm going to do the normal rates. So, hope you look forward to that. I'll be right back. Okie dokie. Good. That's dealt with. Then let's start the normal raids. And while I'm waiting on those, I'll also be doing the other B ranks. And for normal raids, I'm just rolling on any kind of loot. I don't really care. That's just for my other classes, right? My other jobs. It doesn't really matter that much. Okay, let me go back to Redania to get the other Realm Reborn B rank. let's see how fun these. I mean, you have so many tools on Black Mage now, but I'm still, you know, Summoner and Red Mage I'm completely confident on, right? Those are really straightforward to me. But Black Mage, there's just a couple of things that I have to keep in mind, and because of that, I feel like I'm just not that good on Black Mage yet. Which also is because I never really played it in Savage, which I definitely want to change. Upper Lenosha, alright. I think I think you're getting. I think an Aetheryte ticket is 5. Costs 5 allied seals, I think. So you get 20 per B rank. I think it was something like that. Well, I'm not capping these anytime soon, so I don't need to spend them yet. I was pretty lazy before Endwalker in that regard. Before Shadowbringers, I actually got the B ranks every week, and I got a whole stack of Aetheryte tickets, so almost 1,000, and they lasted me through more than 1 year of Shadowbringers. Whereas the oh, of course he starts. Oh, that's not what I wanted. That was really dumb. Please point that elsewhere. That was way too close for my liking. It's gonna be interesting to see tonight when we're raiding. What we're doing about the ice fire phase. Because obviously when we cleared it for the first time, we did it, was just taking the damage downs for tanks. But obviously, you know, now that we're doing re-clears, we should probably do them properly. Which essentially just means that one DPS has to switch up their positioning. Oh, what the yeah. I completely forgot that this starts out with an actual debuff in normal mode. Whoopsie, my bad, I guess. Zori. What am I doing? Yeah, so I definitely just need to get used to a couple of things on Black Mage, to be completely honest. For a second there, I thought that I was too close to that. I don't know how much damage that cast actually does. I think it's not too... well, it's actually quite a lot. Now I need to remember that I actually get something in normal mode. Actually stay here this time. Good. Oh, shh. Yeah, I'm messing this up, aren't I? What the fuck? Completely forgetting the things that he does. Ah, whatever. Yeah, there's definitely a lot more to keep track of when you're playing Black Mage, right? So... Is he not doing the donut and stuff? Oh, whoops. Probably shouldn't have put my ley lines here, but alright. Well, I mean, my damage was pretty good, I think, but I played it very, very poorly. But I mean, that's why I'm doing these on Black Mage, so that I can finally learn to do it properly. But then again, I have to admit, I just forgot a couple of things, like the fact that he immediately gives you a debuff on normal mode, whereas on Savage it's on Savage you get the debuff through the first fire or ice orb that is hitting you. Okay. I got the legs this time. Well, that's unfortunate. Let's actually remove them from my saddlebag for the time being. I can keep this in here, but this way I can actually sort them. I have space in my inventory, so that's fine. Whoop. Alright. First one done. This zone is a little bit annoying for the B rank. It's so far apart, the parts of the zone. You always need to check a pretty wide area. Not that it really matters, it's still really easy to find. Just a tiny bit annoying. I also probably should look up the proper opener for Black Mage, because I'm sure it's not the one that I was doing. I'm pretty sure you start with fire and not with ice. Oh, there he is. Nice. Okay, on to the Heavensward one. I think that's this one, right? Is that so small? Coerthas, Western Highlands. Kreuzit. Okay. Western Highlands. And now I need to look them up. Let's see. B rank. These are pretty easy to look up in the wiki, though. Heavensward. Where is it? Versus Western. So it spawns in the eastern part of the map. Okay. So let me fly to those points on the map. It's not here. Spawn point is there. I wish it would, like, this is stuff that I wish the game would do, right? Every time you kill a B rank, the position you killed it in would get marked on your map or something, right? So you'd have like a hunt map that would mark the spots where you killed the things, so that over time you actually had pretty much the same map that the wiki has, right? In terms of finding these things. I think that would be a pretty cool idea. Because I don't like having to look up stuff on the internet, especially simple stuff like this, right? I mean, a crafting rotation or rotations in general, or like more complex things or strategies for savage raids, obviously, you know, it's okay if that's on an external website. Although then again, it would be really cool to have something in-game that did a similar thing, or filled a similar role. I know that the Japanese players, apparently they're using the lodestone, and like you have every character has sort of a, what's it called, like a blog on the lodestone where you can write articles into or post things, right? And apparently a lot of Japanese players actually use that to post strategies and stuff. So that's really neat. Oh, this one, Azizar. So I wish that there was something sort of similar, or something actually built into the game that allowed you to do stuff like that. That's pretty weird for B ranks because their spawn positions are sort of all over the place because of these islands. But yeah, that's, you know, for simple stuff like this, where it's literally just marking a position on your map, I think it would be really, really awesome to have an actual... Oh, it's actually here. Holy shit, I'm getting lucky today. Let's hope it's still there when I return. But yeah, that would be really cool to have that kind of stuff. See if we can do this one. So that's the proximity one from the middle. I'm also still mismanaging my sharp casts and my dot. Which is, I guess, also something that was just a tiny bit different in Shadowbringers, where, you know, your dot, you wanted to always fire 4 instead of casting your dot, and rather let the dot run out. But I think now that's actually a bit different. Of course, I did so many instant casts just there, just to actually, you know, get through that without having to stop my cast, but of course it takes so long that I still wasn't able to do my cast properly. I don't know if this is the best position for my ley lines, to be completely honest. Oh shit. What? Oh, my ley lines ran out? Well, that was unfortunate. Well, at least now I have triple cast. Sometimes that's a bit scuffed to see that. That's the weapon thing, yeah. Again, probably not the best idea putting the ley lines here, but whatever. Shit. Yeah, these are actually not that easy to plan for in this scenario. Ooh. Wait, mine are already taken. Using ley lines in this scenario is just a bit scuffed. Alright, what's he starting with? And of course... What? Oh, good. Of course he's targeting me with that. Seriously? Yeah, that's... Wow, that's really scuffed on Black Mage. If you don't plan for it properly. What's happening? You. Wait, did it spawn all of those? Because... Once again, probably not the best idea to put the ley lines here, but whatever. Why does that rhyme? Well, it worked, so... I don't know if he was actually doing good stuff, but... Ooh, I might actually finally get the minion. Holy shit, what are those rolls? 94, 88, 81, 90, 96. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, I shouldn't have died there, to be honest. Although I probably also just misjudged the snapshot. But yeah, Black Mage, you definitely have to keep a few more things in mind, so it's a bit... well, I wouldn't really call it more challenging, but certainly a bit more interesting in a couple of ways. Okay, I got the hands, nice, alright. Let's put this in here. And now I can, this should be the Stormblood one, right? The Fringes. Zellum. Oh, I should look up where it is first before I teleport. Stormblood Zellum. Fringes? What's... oh, that's the Castrum, right? Castrum Orients, yes, that one. And I also think that my pentamelded stuff, spirit bonded, that's almost spirit bonded. That's also weird, right? That sometimes these things, some of them are at 99 and some of them are at 100, and it's not entirely clear why that is the case. I don't know, they probably have slightly different values in terms of how they're calculated, and then... yeah, it just... oh, that's... why am I always doing that? I want to put it here. Finally collecting some more materia. I will probably use these for either healer or tank. Although considering that my healers have... I think I bought the 570 stuff for the left side for the healers. I think. So I'm probably going to use this for tank. Not that it matters much, but... it's just nice if you want to tank an expert roulette or something, right? If you have slightly higher gear. It's just faster. Oh, wait a second. Let's find this thing. So we can spawn on this side. Seriously? Holy shit, I'm getting lucky with these today. That's not it. Wait, where is it? What am I looking for? Big Bird, right? Didn't it say to the south? Maybe it's behind the tree. Wait, what? This should be pretty much the spawn location. Oh, here it is. What the fuck? How did you hide? Yeah, I don't know if this is the correct opener, actually, because this way you won't be able to actually weave anything, right? Oh, wait. What the fuck? Did I crit that? That died a lot quicker than I thought it would. Well, the Shadowbringers B ranks... technically they're not really worth it because you can't get Aetheryte tickets for the Kupo nuts, I think. Or sacks of nuts? What are they called? Sack of nuts. Wait a second. Maybe I can quickly actually take a look at the opener. I mean, I saw the opener before. It was just... So it's Sharpcast, Fire 3, Thunder, and then you just triple cast. Okay. Well... Another female Ellison, what's going on? So it's Fire 3, Thunder, and then you literally just triple cast. 2 Fire Force, Layer Lines, and that thing. Something like this? I think I forgot like 1 Fire Force somewhere. Oh shit. Whoopsie. Once again, completely forgot that he immediately does these. Well, now I remember. That's the right way. Let me add that. I don't know if this was the right idea, actually. Wait, what? Guess that one wasn't hit by anything, huh? Ooh, I could have transposed. Seriously. Now I'm overcapping Polyglot. It's not nice. Spawning the ads now? Thank you guys. Please let me hit that. Oh, it immediately... fuck. It's not what I wanted. Oh. People are actually killing them in the correct positions. I hate this part. It becomes targetable way too early. One of the biggest advantages of doing the normal mode re-clears very early on is that most players know exactly what they're doing. No, I don't have any instacasts. For fuck's sake. Well, that was an unnecessary death. I mean, that was totally on me, obviously. But... well, rip those ley lines. I feel like that was actually a pretty important adult, all things considered. I mean, this fight is definitely interesting on Black Mage. Oh, that was earlier than I expected. I should probably keep my triple casts a bit more. Polyglots? I don't know. Stuff like this, right? Seriously? What the fuck? I literally put my frickin' ley lines again into the fire, like right into it. How the hell did I manage that? What the? Why would you run to mine? Ah, shit. Why? And then he's not even hitting them with that. I was literally standing right on top of them. Yeah, I won't be able to edit that. Sorry. Oh, why did I do that? For some reason I decided to cast my dot again, even though it was completely unnecessary in that. Oh, seriously. What was that about people knowing the fight? I think a lot of people actually don't know this fight, it seems. I mean, it happens, right? It's not people's fault, obviously. That was not the best idea that I just had there, but finally for once standing in the correct spot. Sort of. Ooh. Wow, that was... How the hell did I manage that? I mean, I forgot my mana font, so... I guess it's not all good. Seriously. Of course! At least this time I didn't put my ley lines right into the fire. Put them on top of these! Should also probably, like, hit 2 of them with him. At least I'm standing on the correct side for that. Well, I mean, this could have been better. I need to learn so much more Black Mage, but then again, to be completely honest, did it without wiping? I mean, I get that people don't know the fight, but wiping on this? That's bad. Really? I mean, well, okay, to be honest here, I think, you know, whether or not you have a legend title doesn't really say anything about that, right? I mean, you can literally just, you can wipe if people are just dying, sort of. I mean, there's just a bunch of things that you have, that you need to remember, right? And even having done this, like, we literally procced that fight for almost 4 hours yesterday on Savage, and that doesn't help you in any kind of way for normal mode, because the mechanic rotation is completely different, right? So you are not expecting certain things to happen at the points that they happen, and, you know, especially if you happen to be a Black Mage and you don't have any instant casts because you didn't really plan for it, it's kind of bad. Although then again, yeah, I should definitely do a better job in normal modes to just keep my instant casts for those mechanics that I don't know, I think. Whatever. This one done as well. Now it's only the second one. Let's get the next hunt. Oh, this one's always fun. Favorite zone in Stormblood. Well, everyone's favorite zone, really. So what did I miss there? I guess maybe my spell speed is a little bit scuffed. Because you're supposed to do 4 Fire Force and then Despair, right? I wasn't quite sure if I actually did 4 of them. Oh! You're supposed to Swift cast the 4th one. And then immediately triple cast again. Ah, well then it works, obviously, yeah. Okay. Okay. What's its name? Korma. Let's see. So it spawns in the south. Around here somewhere. Such beautiful music as well. So apparently a couple of people have complained a bit about the Endwalker music. Not in general, but couple of specific sort of things with the music, and to an extent I agree with that. I think one thing that they didn't quite manage to do is... So I think their plan sort of was or is to connect the Endwalker music to all of the other expansions, right? So you have themes of all of the other expansions in Endwalker, and the main theme and that kind of stuff reflects that, right? And throughout most of the main story, the music's really, really good, obviously. And the music's good in general. It's not that there's bad music, it's just that certain parts are sort of... they sort of opted to just use all the music, or they sometimes combine them in different ways. So, for example, in the Rolequest, in Gridania, the tank Rolequest, at some point the Raktika music just plays. And I think they felt like it was sort of an appropriate music for the 12th Wood. And I sort of agree with that, except that it's kind of not. So... Oh, actually, I still have one of the old treasure maps open. Interesting. Senior Guild. I think I haven't even accepted a Shadowbringers B rank quest. Doesn't matter. Let's just do them. But yeah, so the issue is that they're using music sort of all over the place, and it still fits. It's still really good music, but at the same time, it just doesn't have... I think Shadowbringers, what they were able to do with the music in Shadowbringers was a lot more consistent, I felt like. It was, throughout the whole expansion, it was really, really tight in terms of the musical design and art direction, right? Whereas with Endwalker, partly because of the nature of the expansion, right, of bringing it back to, even all the way back to 1.0, they opted to use different music from all of those ages and all of those expansions and all of that in the expansion. And for some of those, in some instances, it doesn't... It's still good music, but obviously it works less than having an actual piece written for those specific instances. And I felt like that was apparent. So in Endwalker, I guess the amount of music that they wrote is probably the same that it always was, right? And that it definitely also was for Shadowbringers. It's just that because they had... Technically, they would have had to write probably 1.5 times as much music, or even twice as much music, if they wanted to cover everything with new original pieces that also incorporated old themes. So because of that, it's just, in terms of the musical art direction, I feel like it's just not as tight. Endwalker's just not as tight as Shadowbringers was. And again, that's down to a couple of different reasons, and it's not a big deal, but it's noticeable, right? And I think that's why people were complaining. And also, the raid, I would agree, the music in the raid just isn't as good as we're sort of used to, I feel like. Although maybe that's not entirely fair to the devs, because, you know, older raids also sometimes had sort of a little bit forgettable music as well, I think. I mean, yeah, it's really, really not a big deal. But, yeah. That's not what I wanted to do! What the fuck was that opener? Whatever. That was... Holy shit, that was scuffed. Well, at least I'm able to do these ones now. That was lucky. Yeah, I should probably always keep a triple cast. Murky Depths isn't the one that I should add. Sewage Deluge should have been the one. I mean, it's just normal mode, but again, getting the practice in, probably a good idea. Interestingly enough, on normal mode, obviously, you don't really have a way to orient yourself, really. Because you don't have the, you don't have one platform not accessible. Well, one person ran away. Oh, holy shit, that was closer than I wanted it to be. Almost overcapped there. I mean, I didn't, but that was not the way it should have been done. What the heck did I do there? How the fuck was I suddenly ending on 400 mana? How does that work? Should still... No! What the fuck am I doing? Oh, what the hell was that? I'm a bad black mage. Holy shit. Nope, that battle was too late. Unfortunate. What was sewage eruption again? Oh, it's just the... Oh, of course. Oh, never mind. It was actually already saved. How did the tank die? How did we die? How did... what? Nice. The one fight where I don't do anything wrong, I don't get healed. Cool. I swear if that shockwave would have hit me into the frickin'... Why the... What's the tank doing here? Why wasn't he just running north? There was literally an entire arena he could have gone to. Should be still... yeah. Alright. Well... those normal modes were pretty bad, from my point of view. So I died in every single one except the first one, but the first one I only didn't die because the healers were very, very competent and just healed me up all the time. Yeah, I mean, well, Black Mage is probably one of the jobs that suffers the hardest from not knowing the rotation of the boss, right? Since I'm used to Savage now. But then again, I should have just, you know, you honestly, on normal modes, you should just in general keep most of your instant cast, especially now that you have actually 2 stacks of triple cast. So... yeah, that's probably a thing that I should do in the future. Next week, huh? It'll be fine. Okay, cool. These ones done. I can buy a headpiece and arms. Arms? Gloves. Where is this one? This direction. So let's do the 2 B rings, and then I think I'm going to do the level 86 melee role quest. And then I want to see about the rest. This is the Tempest. So I'm pretty sure that that's near the undercups. I mean, it kind of has to be, right? To bring us the Tempest skills, 8th Swift Claw. That's not a lot of spawn locations. Interesting. I think, or it might be that B ranks can't spawn in Amaroth in general, probably. This is probably still the best last zone that they've ever done. Nothing against Ultima Thule. Ultima Thule, you know, is a very cool idea, very cool design. But this one just has a lot more... well... I mean, yeah, in Endwalker, it's very, very interesting because there's also Elpis, right? I would say Elpis is the best zone in Endwalker because that's where most of your memory, like character memories, are attached to. And the Tempest is so good because there's also a lot of character memories and character development moments attached to it, right? Whereas in Endwalker, most sort of character development and actual story happens in Elpis, and then alright, let me wait. So 1, 2, 3 Swift, triple cast. Yeah, that's the correct opener. Yeah, that's the correct one. Okay, cool. Old Charlie and it is then. Yeah, so all of these developments, right? And Amarod is such a special place and was such a surprise that it even existed. And all of that is connected to the zone, right? To Tempest, which just makes it really, really special in memory. And Elpis is just really, really good in general, but Elpis doesn't have that... Well, Elpis has that very surprising moment, and it has a lot of character moments, but it's not the last zone, right? So that takes a little bit away from it in comparison to the Tempest. So the Tempest is sort of Elpis and Ultima Thule combined, whereas in Endwalker they separated those two, which made sense for Endwalker, right? Because in Endwalker you have both the surprise of being an Elpis, which was the surprise of seeing Amarod, and then you have the finale with everything coming together and with that huge lead up of the whole zone of Ultima Thule sort of being a last goodbye to the Scions in a way, even though obviously they don't die, but it's still... Since we don't probably really travel with most of them in the future, you know, going forward in the 6.x patches, it is sort of a last goodbye to them while traveling with them, right? Almost. And it's obviously leading up to the big finale, and then, you know, with the music swelling up and that last part where everybody that you've met throughout your adventures in that ghost form tells you, oh yeah, this is it. And then obviously the big showdown with Hythlodaeus and Emet-Selch being there as well against Medion, and then going into the last dungeon, the last fight. You know, the Tempest did both of those things, right? It both had the surprise and character development throughout Amarod, but then also the big finale. Whereas in Endwalker, those two things are separate. And it's still absolutely phenomenal in Endwalker, right? I would never dream of trying to compare Endwalker to Shadowbringers. There are specific details that you can compare, but never the whole thing. Because they're, especially like Endwalker, and I said that before, Endwalker is the culmination of all things that came before. So you literally, like, objectively can't judge Endwalker as a standalone expansion. It's just not possible. It was very much possible with Shadowbringers because it's connected to everything else, but it's very much a contained story. It's even in another place, right? It's in the first, and like it has so many character moments that while they are the same characters that we knew and loved from before, it's still very much contained within Shadowbringers. A lot of it is contained within Shadowbringers, whereas Endwalker really is the culmination of everything that we've been doing throughout the last 10 years, right? Everything that's been happening, all of the expansions, even all the way back to 1.0. So you literally, I think, objectively can't judge Endwalker as a standalone expansion, because it's only as good as it is in combination with everything that came before. And that's why individually, if you look at it, at least in my opinion, right, obviously that's a subjective opinion, but the Tempest just had this combination of things going on, which made it a very unique and memorable experience. Whereas, again, in Endwalker, those two things are sort of separated from one another, and you have both Elpis and Ultima Thule. And it absolutely makes sense to separate these two things in Endwalker, because you want to have both, right? You want to have that long section where you're interacting with Hythlodaeus, Emet-Selch, and Venar, and Hermes in Elpis, but then you also want to have that big lead up to the finale and everything that's connected to that, right? And that makes Endwalker really special as well. Just individually rating the zones, I think Tempest has a bit more going for it individually. right? Ultima Thule felt more like Azizla back in Heavensward, which was still incredible, but I just don't have the same connection to Azizla, right? It's an incredibly interesting zone, especially from a lore perspective. There's so much going on with that zone. And obviously it was the big finale in Heavensward. But back then, in Heavensward, they also sort of did it the way they did it in Endwalker, where they had pretty much the whole expansion and all of that was connected to it. And then Azizla was sort of your final thing, right? Your final destination, your final piece of the story. But it's also a whole zone, right? But the zone in and of itself just doesn't have, I guess, as much content as the previous ones, just because of the nature of how it is that big final moment. And Ultima Thule is sort of the same thing, right? Ultima Thule exists as being this final piece of the puzzle, this final piece of the story where everything is just focused on getting to the big climax of the story. And well, that's the whole point of the zone. So obviously a zone like Ultima Thule has less individual pieces because its purpose is to be there for the big finale, much like Azizla was. Whereas the Tempest specifically, or also is it the Peaks? No, I forgot the Stormblood zone. The last Stormblood zone was the locks, right? The locks. So those zones are almost a normal zone, right? The locks is pretty much a normal zone. Still obviously with the lead up to the finale of Stormblood, but just a very, very different design compared to Azizla and Ultima Thule. And again, there's nothing bad about any of that, right? It's very, very cool, in fact, that we have these different designs and different approaches to how they're doing these zones. That's what keeps it interesting, right? Level... What's it called? Level Cheetah? Ultima Thule? Well, that thing is probably at the Omicron base, right? Kinda has to be. No, it's not. Wait, what? Is that correct? So I guess the idea behind the level Cheetah is that it escaped from the Omicron part of Ultima Thule, because it's literally not there. It's at the other parts. Apparently it only has 5 spawn locations though. Whisper, but in silence. God, this music. That's why I need to do Fates here. Journey, meditating from sound. Why is this music so good? Unbroken, so long ago. There he is. Yeah, it kind of looks like he escaped, right? From base Omicron. Alright, let's... No, wait. Sharp cast first. Thunder. Triple cast, Fire 4. Fire 4 these two. Fire 4, Swift cast, Fire 4, Triple cast. Despair, Mana from Fire 4, Despair. And then you just go into your normal rotation. Nice. Would be really funny if the Fate spawned this time. I mean, I still have to do that at some point. I guess now is a good time to actually keep more of an eye on those. Especially in morning times, right? It would be really easy to do them. And not actually be locked out of the instance. So, let me actually check. I have 600 gemstones. But I've only done 14 fates here. Oh, shit. Yeah. That's gonna take a while to do. Okay. Let me think for a moment here. Ha! I just noticed. If I'm getting Paladin to 90, I can actually renew my Mentor license. Huh. Can get my Burger King crown back. Not that I really want to. I have it turned off anyways all the time. I don't know why. But I don't know. I think if you're putting it on, you also need to definitely be actually mentoring, in my opinion, right? If you put on the crown, then you actually need to do mentor stuff as well. Okay. So there was one thing that I wanted to check. Oh, right. I wanted to check my Orchestron list. So Higgs Leons? I need to get that. At some point I need to get back to collecting orchestrion rolls. Still missing so much cool stuff. Endcaller Yarnsa. Well, I can craft these, so... Endcaller, I should probably... Yeah, these two. So I think I have 3 slots open currently in my house of music that I could play. So I definitely want to craft these 2 soon. I mean, I should be able to craft them, right? On Blade's Edge, that should be from the last dungeon, right? Probably want to get that as well. I'm missing so much. Let me actually, before I continue with the role quest, let me take a look at the market board to see. There's probably a bunch of those, especially those from dungeons, that are fairly cheap. The new ones are probably, like, the really good music is obviously a lot more expensive, probably, but yeah. So... But the ones, yeah, the ones that I should put in my orchestrion in my house are definitely the Endcaller and Your Answer from the new trials. Which is, the trials I have all of them, because they're really cheap. And you can craft them yourself most of the time. Dungeons I'm missing a lot, and locales I'm missing a lot, because you can get these through the bicolor gemstones, and I never really collected those. And also missing a couple of these. What is love? I think it's actually called... I bought a couple of these as well. So I have most of these. Oh, on Blade's Edge, that's from the Excitatron. That's actually not the new dungeon. Okay. So these two are probably fairly expensive right now. Carrots of Happiness. Check how. That's probably a lot more expensive because people want it. Better favorites. What's on my favorite list currently, actually? Casual attire? I don't know if I have that. I have a feeling that I bought that at some point. Wasn't this a lot more expensive at some point? Wait, let me triple check, or rather double check. Wait, what is this? Oh, the new one, Nosferatu. Though understood to refer to vampires, the word Nosferatu has an uncertain origin, and the same may be said of this bat-like creature. However, from the fact that it appears to be wearing a dinner suit and won't drink your blood without permission, it is clearly a gentlemanly sort. Aww. Okay, let me... I'm pretty sure that I don't have the Nutkin. And that it also was... Yeah, that was a lot more expensive at some point, I think. Let's just get it, so that I can remove it from my favorites here. That one's still really expensive. And this Gobble lamp, I think you can get this through bicolor gemstones as well. This one's still really expensive. This one's still really expensive. Yeah, these are the ones that I still need to get at some point, but they're all really, really expensive. Because there's just not a lot of those on the market right now. Carrots of Happiness I might be able to get by just running the dungeon at some point, so I don't really want to buy it. I could just sell it, but it's probably getting cheaper. Of Countless Stars. Did I write that correctly? Oh, it's double L. Countless Stars. Yeah, those are really cheap already. So I should probably get those before I forget again. Because obviously they're getting more expensive, usually at least. Inspired by the words of Millis Ironheart, the staring squirrel longs to travel the realm in search of the legendary golden acorn, in hopes that trailing in your shadow will ensure that he isn't eaten before he discovers the motherlode. Okay. The Ethereal Sea. You can clearly see what kind of music people like, right? Miracle Works. Well, that's really cheap. Still don't get why people put these up for 150. They can literally just sell to an NPC. They'll get exactly as much money. As the Sky Burns. Is that the one from Favnir? That's also really cool. That's probably more expensive. No, it's not. Interesting. Okay. Garlemald Express. Also good music. Also really cheap. Let's not buy the one that has 3. From the depths. Obtained in Zastasha. What the fuck? Why Zastasha? I guess this was never... Weird. Guess this was never released before? Because otherwise I wouldn't really know why this is here. Roar of the Worm. The Airy. Interesting. Dawnbound. So these probably got released either with Endwalker or shortly before or something. And that's why they're so expensive still. They'll probably fall in price. Freshly glazed Porksy. Yeah, I should have bought those in Shadowbringers. Because they were probably a lot, they were a lot cheaper before. But now that not that many people are running these, they're a lot more expensive, or they're getting a lot more expensive rather. Dancing Calabrina. Anti-Tower. Wait, what? What? I think I'm also missing one of these. They're actually not that expensive. What is this? Cloth. Crafting material, interesting. Wait. Am I missing? I think at some point I actually bought the dancing mat things. Yeah, I have them. Because they're not that expensive. Okay, let's see. At least I'm getting some of these. The Ludus. Halatali, what the fuck? Did they just, I don't know, sort them differently or something? Below. Well, at least these are really cheap. Nemesis, subaquatic voyages, that might be more expensive then. Or not. It's a dungeon orchestrion role, but it's acquired through subaquatic voyages. Interesting. Tonberry's Tears. So many Tonberry things. Yeah, that's weird. Locales. I mean, this is just Dungeon 1, right? Why are they sorted like that? So this is all the dungeons. Abomination, cut his cry. I guess they're sorted on level dungeons first and then level dungeons next? That's actually what it looks like. Let me check. No, Haukemana is the level 28 dungeon. Did they sort of accidentally sort these wrong or something? Or did the other dungeon music just not exist before as an orchestrion role? Because the other, like Sastasha, it should start with Sastasha, right? That's weird. Well, at least now I have most of them. Doma Castle, Gates of the Moon. Notice of Death. Available for Gelmoran Potsherd Exchange Aquarmel. 200th floor. Notice of Death. That's probably a bit more expensive then. Why is that on the dungeons? I mean, I guess it's a dungeon? Holy shit, that is expensive. Well, I still wouldn't run that, so... Fog of Phantom. Also really expensive. I just want to add them to my favorites list so that I don't forget that I still have to buy them. Fog of Phantom, alright. And then the only other ones that are missing is the Ancient City. Oh, that's this one. Wow. Guess that doesn't drop very often. Or rather, people just don't run the dungeon that often. And... Oh, wait. Upon the Rocks. Or from Kubo of Fortune in the Firmament. Interesting. It's not that expensive. Okay. Yeah, I'm missing a lot of these. But that's what I'm still farming for, right? I have all of these now. Trials, I'm only missing these two, which is good. Materials. I need to craft that at some point. I'm not actually missing that much here. I'll look for those later. New one. Ambient Abyss. I do have Flow and Footfalls. I don't know if this is this version of Flow. Let me take a look at my orchestra now. Can definitely add a couple of other music to it. Then at some point I'm going to add the trial music and the Ultima Thule music as well. This one I still want to keep, obviously. The one that's currently running missing pages. Why is this always rescaling? So I have footfalls. Weight of the world I can probably remove at this point. Heard that a million times. So, wait, missing pages is what's currently playing. I have answers. Endwalker Footfalls is the trailer theme, right? And To the Edge is the 5.3 trial music. I definitely want to keep that in. Longfall I'm going to keep in as well. Just a bit of Shadowbringers in there. Let's put Flow in for now, and then maybe these? Wait, so... which are these ones actually? So that's the level 73 dungeon. That's the level 71, level 75. Why am I... Not 70, 80. 85. So then this one should be... Oh, right, yeah, that's the 80, that's the 87, that is 89 of Countless Stars, so that would be... Yeah, that's the one that I wanted. What is Carrots of Happiness then? Is that already the trial music from the last trial, or is that something completely different? Dun, dun. So let's definitely add that one. I don't have these yet. In Arms of War, that's from somewhere else, right? I think that's Diamond Weapon. Unbowed. Why is that here? Close in the distance. I wonder what these two are then, that you get through the Excitotron now. That might be the boss music? Probably? So let me either add... Let's see, so this one is... It's also pretty fun, right? I mean, that's a bit... Let's add this for now. Count the stars, Galamalt Express. Answers gonna keep in, Flow. Missing pages, obviously. Longfall and To the Edge. Listen, shuffle. Yes. Nice. To Emperor Fish. It's fine. Shoe gold, nice. Give that to her right away. Need to put these onto the correct retainers. This I don't have anywhere, right? Nope. Sell these. Could actually put this one on the market here. Doesn't sell that often, huh? Skin can go here. That's cool music. Gonna switch that out eventually, though. I'm gonna switch out the dungeon. I mean, this one. Well, not the last one. The Carrots of... No, not the Carrots of Happiness. The Count the Stars thing. I'm gonna keep for a while, I think. Although it's definitely gonna be hard to decide. Alright. Let's do the role quest then. So, where was that? Let me think. The samurai was in Limsa, right? Wait, what did we do there? It was definitely Limsa. Sometimes that's a bit scuffed when you forget melee. Storm clouds brewing. Oh, right. That was with the Sahagin, right? Right. Okay, let's see how that continues then. Are you T-posing? Why are you T-posing? Sure, buddy. Okay, Outcast. See how this continues. Yeah, so I'm not gonna do much more because I will take a break then, and I'll probably continue with the... yeah, that's a bit... It's all a bit scuffed in terms of... I do want to do more Fates and Ultima Thule as well. Then again... I don't know, there's still so much to level. I don't really mind doing dailies. Whatever. We'll see about that after this. Let's do this first. A crushing tide. Your timing could not be better. The Admiral has just this moment returned from meeting with Azahakin. I shall inform her of your arrival. I'm glad you're here. We have decided on our next course of action. As you know, we face two distinct but interconnected challenges. The transformations occurring among the Sahagin may be one, but the blasphemy itself is the root of the problem. Thus far, those who succumb to the change have all been affiliated with the crushing tide and continue to resist our diplomatic efforts. Were we to put a stop to the phenomenon as well as address their grievances, we may yet have a chance at peace. To that end, I would propose a double-pronged approach.
On one front, we shall work in tandem with our Sahakin allies to redouble our patrols. Should the blasphemy surface, we will share this knowledge and move immediately to dispatch the threat. At the same time, we will pursue a dialogue with the Crushing Tide. We need to bring them back to the negotiating table, and then see what can be done to convince them to stand down. The key point will now no doubt be the lingering issue of securing land for their spawning grounds. It's a discussion I intend to approach with an open mind. It will be no easy task, but we succeeded with the kobolds, and I have faith that we will succeed with the Zahagin as well, so long as we parley in good faith. Can only hope the Crushing Tide share that sentiment. You're wise to temper your expectations, but I would not abandon the hope ere we try. At any rate, Null has sent word that one Doe, a priest who styles himself the leader of the Crushing Tide, has grudgingly agreed to hear us out. I will parley with him face to face at the Subsa spawning grounds, and would have you at my side, if you do not object, that is. Excellent. In that case, pray join me at South Tidegate when you are ready. From there, we will go together. Okay. Sounds good. We welcome your aid in our negotiations with the Crushing Tide. Admiral Blofiswin awaits you at South Tidegate. Probably have to get back to, what's it called? Airport, yeah. Okay. All prepared, are you? Doe is not known for his patience. We must take care not to incur his ire. I was told he would be at the spawning grounds upon our arrival, but it appears he has been delayed. Let us speak with the Saiyan here. Mayhap one of them will be able to shed light on what may be keeping him. One more thing. I come here as a representative of Limsa Lumensa on a diplomatic mission. Should the talks deteriorate and things come to blows, I cannot be seen to bloody my hands. I trust that you understand. And with that, let us be off. I love how they always explain why the NPCs can't attack anything. I mean, it's nice that they try to find a reason why that is, but to be honest, standing right next to her, pretty much as her sort of bodyguard, killing these Sahagin, potentially, would have exactly the same negative impact as, just her killing them herself would have. First, let us see if any of the Sahagin here possess any knowledge of Doe's whereabouts. Thankfully, these Sahagin won't attack me anyways, because they're level 44. Belligerent Sahagin. What is this? Since when are filthy shore walkers free to intrude upon our sacred spawning grounds? Pray forgive our intrusion. We seek an audience with Speaker Doe. Where might we find him? You will do no such thing, shore walker. We have not forgotten what you did to Lord Leviathan. Be gone! You won't get much out of this one. Let's try elsewhere. I love how he just... Oh yeah, bye. Stoic Sahagin. Why do you trespass in our domain, vile shorewalkers? We mean you no harm. Come only for a peaceful parley with your leader, Master Do. Where might we find him? We desire no parley with the shorewalkers who would steal our home. Were it not for your insatiable selfishness, we Sahagin would grow and flourish. Your grievances are justified. That is why I would speak with Master Do and work toward a peaceful solution. Empty words from the thieving shorewalker. But so be it. Soon you shall learn the futility of your efforts. Speaker Do is currently overseeing security at the spawning grounds. We'll find him by the entrance, though mark my words, we'll wish you hadn't. We shall see. Thank you for your aid. Well, yeah, this doesn't seem like it's very, like it's a very fruitful endeavor, does it? Don't remember the music change here. There he is. He's just chilling here. Shorewalkers in our spawning grounds. To what do I owe the displeasure? Speaker Do, I presume. Our apologies for entering into your home unannounced. I am Merwald Blowfiswin, Chief Admiral of Limsa, and my buddy. We come seeking a parley, that we might strive for peace between our peoples. Parley, you say? Prolonging this conflict any further will lead only to needless suffering. The menace both our peoples face is great indeed. If ever there was a time to set aside our differences and come together for the greater good, it is now. I invite you to join us at South Tidegate for formal negotiations. Shorewalkers and Sahagin coming together. What assurance do I have that you will not slit our guilds the moment we set foot within your territory? I can offer naught but my word. We open our gates to you and invite you into our home as a show of respect. I do not trust you, Shorewalker, but let it never be said that Do of the Crushing Tide was a coward. I accept your offer, but attempt any treachery or subterfuge, and your people will drown in their own blood. Very well, Master Do. I look forward to a productive discussion. Why do I have a feeling that this meeting will go south? Let us return, then. I shall send word to Noll as well. I would have our Sahagin allies join us at the parley. Know this, Shorewalker? I come not because your words sway me, but to show my spawn brothers that Do of the Crushing Tide is no coward. Okay. If you say so. So. That was an abrupt music change. I have a feeling that this meeting will not be very fruitful, to be honest. But let's see. I mean, wouldn't it have made more sense to meet on the other side of the gate? Or, like, in between? I don't know. Thank you for joining us here, Master Doe. The air here sickens me. Be brief. Aye. Let us get straight to the heart of the matter. A common threat looms before us, one more powerful than any primal, with the potential to bring death without end to both Sahagin and Glominson alike. These circumstances call for swift and united action. You doubt our intentions, but I remind you that we have liberated many of your kin from Leviathan's enthrallment. They and countless other Sahagin have joined us, of their own free will, that we may ensure their survival of both of our peoples. Aye, by their deeds have the Lamentans proven themselves worthy of our trust. Master Doe, you and your crushing tide want only to secure a future for your people. I say to you, this can only be done by confronting this threat together. Threats! What is this threat you speak of? If it is unity you crave, then submit yourself to our command. Be as the serpent Reavers. They are the only shorewalkers I deign to call friend. You would ask us to willingly surrender ourselves to your Lord of the World. I do. For that, and that alone, will ensure peace between us. Preposterous! You propose not alliance, but servitude. This way lies nothing but death for all Sahagin. Do you hear this, my spawn brothers? The shorewalkers have stolen this one's mind. He decries Lord Leviathan and espouses the lunacy of our sworn foes. These treacherous wretches have abandoned our god and conspire to drive we faithful from our ancestral home. We cannot, we must not let this stand. For shame, forsaken by our spawn brothers. They side with the finless ones and blaspheme our Lord Leviathan. They who steal our spawning grounds and slaughter our children. Our future. Our future. Well, you didn't expect that, did you? Behold, behold this blessing. Lord Leviathan grants us greater and greater strength. You would call this a blessing? Shh, such horrors. Flee, flee for your lives. He's just running away. The beast makes for Aleport. I leave this place to you. Okay. That looked kind of weird because it was like he was running so slowly. Splendid, splendid. Let all our spawn brothers be blessed with such power. Yeah, I don't think he gets what this means, but alright. Well, this went as well as I expected it to. This is the second time you've saved my life, Shoalwalker. My gratitude is as boundless as the sea. But what of the Admiral? We must go to her aid. I mean, considering how slowly they were running... Ah, yeah, she's... Oh. Well, that's unfortunate. I was too late. I am sorry. There is no need for apologies. You are not responsible for my people's plight. But what I cannot fathom is Dao's response. How pleased he was to see his brothers become slavering beasts. The fool believes it a blessing from Leviathan himself. Any hope for a peaceable solution will be lost should Dao and his crushing tide manage to wield these transformations as a weapon against us. I mean, to be completely honest, I get why he thinks that, because if you think back to when they were actually summoning primals all the time, they didn't really care for being enthralled, right? Mostly because they already were enthralled, and so they, well, didn't care for everybody else to get enthralled either, but, you know, there was still sort of a beginning to that, right? The reason why they were summoning primals in the first place, well, the Ascians also played a part in that, obviously, right? The Ascians provided them with the means to actually summon the primals through crystals and stuff like that, but the reason why they summoned Leviathan in the first place was because, well, back in the Realm Reborn, or even before that, the Leminsons sort of wanted to take their land away from them, right? And they wanted to defend their spawning grounds, and the only way they thought they could do that was by summoning Leviathan. But through that, they became enthralled. And, yeah, all of the other stuff ensued. And this isn't really a different situation to that, right? This Dao person thinks that he needs to defend his land as well. I mean, maybe at this point he should be smarter, considering that he should see how well the other Sahagin work together with Limsa Lominsa. But, you know, if he doesn't see that or doesn't want to see it, then defending his spawning grounds will pretty much prompt the same response that back then the Sahagin did by summoning the Leviathan. And obviously now this transformation, well, it's not that different from being enthralled by Primal, right? I mean, especially from their perspective. Obviously we know better, but, you know, from their perspective, what's the difference between a primal enthralled Sahagin and a Sahagin that turned into a blasphemy, right? I shudder at the very thought, and yet the true threat, the blasphemy, is still out there, yes? Just so. The first ones to transform are those who have fallen into the deepest depths of despair. The more painful their anguish, the more fearsome and formidable they become in their bestial forms, and the greater their influence over others. Shh. Can scarcely hope to stand against a legion of such foes. Would that there was more my people could do to help. I will have the Maelstrom patrol the seas for the blasphemy, that we might slay it with all due haste. But this may well amount to naught. If the blasphemy too was born from a Sahagin, it could be sheltering in the depths, beyond the reach of our ships. In that case, I pray allow my spawn brothers and I to serve as your eyes beneath the sea. Thank you, Noel. Through our efforts combined, we might yet weather this threat. As for your brothers who gave their lives today for our cause, I shall see that they are returned home to be laid to rest as they deserve. Have my gratitude, Admiral. And with that, we should return as well. There is much work to be done, and would see it done quickly. I must take my fallen brother home.
And that's really sad that he actually died. I have a feeling we should have been able to help him. Who said that? I think it was Jesse Cox in one of his streams who said that, yeah, that was with the scene in Ratzatan, right? The pretty disturbing scene when people turn into blasphemies in Ratzatan, and the young boy is turned as well and then crushed beneath the other beast. And, you know, the Warrior of Light, our character, is literally standing about 30 meters away from where that happens, right? And, you know, at least the way it looks in the cutscene, well, not necessarily the boy being crushed, but then the satrap being eaten by the beast. You know, it looks like it takes about a minute in the cutscene, right? Or maybe not a minute, but certainly, you know, 30 seconds upwards. Meaning that the Warrior of Light should have easily been able to get over there and just stab the beast to death, right? Now, obviously, I guess the... what's it called? Not assumption? Well, it's supposed to happen quicker, right? Obviously, it's just like with movies. There are certain things or certain scenes that don't necessarily really happen in real time. But sometimes that's still, you know, I guess a concern or just something that sometimes looks a bit weird, to be completely honest. And it did look a bit weird in that scene just then, right? The Sahagin was running away, but fairly slowly, and then the beast turned and then started running after it. And in that moment, we, as the Warrior of Light, would have been, you know, technically should have been easily able, especially considering that it's the melee job quest. All of the melees pretty much have a dash, right? You could have just dashed to it and used leg sweep to stun it. So, yeah. And then also, Merwin has a freaking weapon, right? So she should have been able to shoot that thing from afar while it was running after the Sahagin. I mean, well, technically you can probably make an argument that she didn't want to do that in order to not accidentally hit the Sahagin, I guess. But it's still, you know. Oh, you've returned. The Admiral was just briefing me on the events at the spawning grounds. Ah, I was just sharing our findings. So you see, the danger is exactly as the Sahagin described. While Doe and his ilk have no means of forcibly triggering the phenomenon at present, it is plain they intend to seek one out. Redouble our patrols offshore, and inform me at the first sign of anything out of the ordinary. Shall be done, Admiral. I worry that we may be stretching ourselves too thin. Should the situation take a turn for the worse, I will recall our forces from Garlemald. Yet I would reserve that as a last resort. For now, I must get to work securing reinforcements. I ask that you remain close by. We may have need of your strength all too soon. That's cool that they reference their forces being in Garlemald. Right? Makes sense that that would be a concern of theirs. Okay. Well, I'm finally getting stuff done, huh? Okay. Let me actually return to my home. So, I've unlocked Sage, I've unlocked Reaper, obviously. That will still take some time until I actually level them and then do the quests. And... well, probably with the dailies today, I will then level my tank to 90 so that I can finish that role quest and then level my melee as well. Now, we have raid today as well, so I'm not entirely sure how much I will be able to do. I mean, technically it's not that many quests, right? And the daily should be fairly quick, and I've already done everything else pretty much.
So I've done the weekly raid, I've done all my dailies, which is good. So I'm not really missing that much, and you know, crafting stuff and things like that can come at another time. Yeah, I will level Paladin to 91st, do that role quest, all the while also leveling Samurai, which might hit 87 to do the next quest there as well, and that's pretty much going to be it. So this is it for the time being. I hope you had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. These role quests are still really interesting. I mean, there's definitely an argument to be made that both Gridania and Limsa, you know, aren't the most interesting places for these role quests. I mean, it's true that there are still some lingering, I guess, issues there that need to be resolved, and obviously it was interesting to get a bit of background on Carnicenna, and a bit more, I guess, lore and interesting things to think about in terms of Gridania and the Guardian Tree and the Elementals and stuff like that. But overall, I feel like these quests definitely have less impact than the ones that were actually connected to the expansions, right? Which I still think that the ranged role quest is definitely the best one so far. Obviously, I still haven't started the last one, which is the healer one. It's going to be interesting to see what that entails. But yeah, these one... I mean, the Beast Tribes already back in Realm Reborn weren't exactly the most interesting storyline, just because they were all very samey, right? And that's also why a lot of people consider 2.1, 2.2 up until sort of 2.3 to be fairly uninteresting, right? I mean, there's still some interesting dialogue and groundwork that is laid in those quest lines in the 2.1 to 2.3 patches, right? But it's woven in between a whole lot of fairly boring stuff that's just not that interesting, unfortunately. And for that reason, you know, continuing these things isn't really that interesting either, right? I mean, especially with the Gridanian quest, I would have loved to actually get to know more about the history of the Creeping Death. I mean, I know that there probably are other sources of information about that as well, but it would have been, I think, a lot more interesting to get to know more about that, and also get more background on Carnicenna as well. We got some of that, but not enough. Whereas I felt like the stuff about the Guardian Tree and the Elementals isn't really all that interesting, right? And it's also things that we've interacted with before, so it's not new, right? And the same here so far, right? I've now done 2 of the melee role quests, and they're both... both of them don't really have anything new in them. It's just literally, oh yeah, there's still a Sahagin tribe that pretty much still believes that they can't work together with Limsa and that they want to take away their spawning grounds, and that's why they, you know, turn to their primal, and in that wake think that the blasphemy transformations are connected to their faith in the primal or something. It's just not very original, right? Whereas in Ishgard, there are, or were, actual political concerns that still needed to be addressed, and they addressed that in a very, very good way in the role quest. And the same, as I said before, for the ranged role quest. The lingering issues with Heian as a leader and not really addressing the concerns of their people, and then also getting more background on Yugiri as well was just phenomenal. So, yeah, that is definitely missing from these quests. I mean, I guess they still wanted to bring it back to, you know, the role quests are definitely designed in a way where you go back to all of the old zones. Yeah, I mean, I haven't finished them, right? So I'm withholding sort of my final judgment on them. Maybe the level 90 tank role quest is really, really good and has a lot of background information on the creeping death in Kani Senna, but I kind of doubt it, to be completely honest. Or maybe the fight is really good. I mean, there's definitely still a solo duty coming up there, right? So, I guess we'll see. But overall, yeah, the Ishgard and authored role quests definitely have it. But then again, the healer role quest might be really interesting because there Alamigo is also involved, right? And there actually have been a couple of side quests here and there about Alamigan refugees and about Little Alamigo and how that interacts with the Alamigo that we freed, right? And so there's definitely a lot of interesting stuff that might be still there in terms of a connection between Uldar, Alamigo, and their lingering issues. So that's going to be interesting to see as well. But yeah, that's going to be it for now. As I said, I'm going to be back tonight, so that's in about 4 to 6 hours probably. We'll start streaming. I will do the dailies from today, finish the tank role quest definitely. Maybe, depending on how far I can level Samurai, I will also continue with the next melee role quest. Again, obviously doing the dailies, and then we'll be back with reclears with my static, and hopefully a good portion of P3S attempts to kill. And maybe even a kill. Until then, have a great day, or night, or morning, wherever you are. I hope you had fun, and we'll see each other hopefully, well, in my case, tonight, for dailies, role quests, and the raid. Until then, have a good one. Bye bye!